Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today is a mentorship session with our friend Abhay. Um, and you and I, or we, whatever, we've been working on an app. Can you tell us just like a quick reminder of what the app is and maybe what you want to look at today?
Sure. Hey everyone. So so I couple of weeks ago, almost like a month ago, I came up with an idea of uh integrating YouTube channels with a kind of a search engine. Basically, where not exactly a search engine, but a virtual assistant, where subscribers could talk to the virtual assistant and get more information about the videos and the uh, resources these videos have by basically I wanted to train this agent on the transcripts of the videos so that the subscribers could interact with it. So basically it was that. Uh, so yeah, after that I have like made some progress with it. So we could talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. And let me change the permissions here so you can share your screen if you want to. All right, you should be good.
Okay, right, just give me 1 second.
And by the way, at the end, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to show you my most recent progress on Saturn CI. I think it's kind of neat the last couple things I've done, so we can maybe take 1 or 2 minutes at the end if you guys don't mind.
Yes. Did we see some
Yeah.
front-end changes on Twitter?
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, I would like to see that. Yeah, love to see that, at the end. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
So do you
Okay.
see my screen now?
Yeah, okay, so you even have a name for it, overpowered.
No, it's actually the channel it has been trained on, the channel data it has been trained
Oh,
on.
okay, got it, got it.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have to come up with a name because this was not the final thing. So I was just wondering, let's not call it anything for now. Let's just see where it goes and then we'll see about it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
basically we have this is the front end. It's already hosted on Vercel.
Okay.
Uh, so the backend is also hosted, as you said. It is on. Uh, just give me a second. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the backend is also hosted on Render.
Okay.
So the backend is on Flask. So yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what we can do here is, let's say we want to uh, see the videos that were made by the channel on robotics.
Okay.
Uh, we can just hit search, and this sometimes takes. Yeah. So we get we get uh we get 10 values of the nearest possible uh string of this. So basically this gets embedded into a vector, and so I have to walk you through the code for me to explain that. Is that good? Like,
Sure,
can I do
yeah.
that? Yeah, right. So okay. So basically what so we can also search for let's say text to speech. Uh and then it would basically pull up the videos that involves text to speech technology.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so that's that. What we're basically doing is I took a bunch of data from the transcripts. I embedded them into vectors and used a vector database called Pinecone
Okay.
uh, to store these vectors. And whenever I'm searching, the search query is converted into the embeddings, and the Pinecone basically searches the closest vectors of the incoming vector.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's what happens. I can go through the code so that you can understand it a little bit better. So we can start from here actually. So what I'm doing is basically I'm getting the uh, YouTube API and
Uh-huh.
getting the transcripts, right? So basically I am just getting the transcripts from video ID. So the end data looks like this, right? A little bit, yeah. So we get the video ID
Hmm.
and the we get the transcripts for like each second and all
Oh,
that.
interesting.
Yeah. So it's basically captions.
Okay, so when
Uh,
you do that search, like when you search for robotics, was it
mhm.
actually looking in the transcripts?
Uh, it was not looking in the transcripts as in like in a conventional way. Uh, it was so in a conventional way, what we do is we take a string and if there is a string, we'll have to look through uh, all the entries, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are looking through all the entries and we are pattern matching basically
Hmm.
uh, using regex and all that. But what we are doing here is let's say there is an entry here in the
Okay.
database. This is not textual entry here. These are all vectors. Uh, these are all vectors and vectors in like 384 dimension space. And then we have an input query, which is also a vector. So it calculates the distance between the two vectors and returns the most nearest vectors.
Okay. I don't think I understand what a vector is.
Yeah, let me show you that.
Uh-huh.
So if I can, yeah. So each of this is an entry into the database. So here an index is a database, and this each of this entry is basically one transcript from one video. So these are the
Okay.
embeddings.
And sorry, you
So it's a vector.
yeah, you live in a different world from me because I'm Ruby on Rails and you work with other technologies. And I never work with Vercel or Render, and I've never even heard of Pinecone. What's Pinecone?
So Pinecone is a vector database.
Oh,
So
okay.
it basically stores whatever you enter it into numbers. It does not store text.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So uh these values are you able to see these values?
Yeah, yeah.
So these values here represent uh let me show you this text here,
Okay.
right? Whenever I enter it into a vector database, all of this I need to convert into embeddings and then I need to push it into the vector database. And whenever I search for it, the vector database calculates the distance between the two vectors and returns the closest values.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
could it
these are the
be that,
closest
for
values here.
example, sorry, can you go back to the tab you were on a second ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know. So it has like on line 17, I see that it mentions AI. Like, might it be the case that when you search for artificial intelligence completely spelled out, like
Hmm.
the vector database would know that artificial intelligence is related to AI, and so it would say that that one has a closer distance. Is that how it might
Yes.
work? Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So
Okay,
yeah. So yeah, we can walk through code for a little bit so that you can understand a little bit better.
okay.
Yeah. So I think this is something that we already covered, right? We
Okay.
basically get the data from YouTube, and we basically iterating through it and storing it in this format, like basically, uh,
So, Abhay, sorry, your mention of the vectors, does that mean that it uses some machine learning in the background
yes, yes,
to?
it does.
Ah, okay, okay, that all makes sense now. Okay, okay,
So yeah, I'll show you. So basically, we are storing uh the transcripts in transcripts.json. here. I'm not sure I'm able to open it here. I can show it to you here. Yeah. So this is the file that uh, this is the data that we first get when we make our first request to the YouTube API. And then we need to clean it.
Mm.
So I'm basically removing all the
Noise. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically removing all the non-speech parts.
Yep.
So yeah, so that will basically make it easier for me to store it into the database so that there is no noise. Uh, so that will result me in this, right? I am storing what date it was published, the title, the text. This is basically the transcript. I just you see that it is by second here, right? Like it saves here per second. However, I've like merged the entire thing here.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're following.
No. But
All right,
I
you
never
can you can you
follow.
can yeah, you can ask me whatever you want, like wherever you think you're not able to understand.
Yeah, I never completely follow anything the first time around. Let me ask this. What changes are you intending to make next to the system?
Uh, right. So I'll tell you the reason why I put it into the vector database. I'm sure you are thinking we don't need vector database for searches. But I'm using vector database because we could then further try fine tune a model just like ChatGPT on the vectors. It does not understand text, right? So we'll have to use vector embeddings to train the model on. That's the reason why I use vector database. So my end goal was to create the chatbot for the thing for the YouTube channel. So that would be the next step.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, do you want to get started on that?
Uh, sure. I mean, I've not thought about it, but we could, we could because let me just see if I have any uh architecture. Not sure if uh I think I'll have to pull that up.
Okay.
Hmm, where was it? Not sure. So basically, so okay, just give me a second and I'll try to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, Jason, the way I understand it is, it's a bit like a LLM, large language model, that type of thing,
Hmm.
where, yeah, a bit like Chat GPT, but behind the scenes, So yeah,
Yeah.
loading the text into a LLM and then figuring it out from that, that's what I understand. I tinkered around the edges of machine learning long time ago, but then it was too
Okay.
complicated for me, I prefer Ruby, the simplicity of Ruby.
Yeah, I'm a dabbler in AI stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
and I have been trying to educate myself. Not trying to. I've been educating myself a little bit, but
Mm.
it's a big topic.
It is.
Yeah. And
And
so,
there are a
mhm.
few upcoming Ruby gems, that try to do the AI magic, so which will
Okay.
hopefully help around.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit on
Mm.
that. My friend Obi Fernandez is doing some
Yes.
work in that area, and he wrote an AI book. And then my other friend Landon Gray is doing some Ruby AI work also. But I just know that they're doing AI stuff. I don't really know what it is that they're doing exactly.
Yeah. And again, there's one of the gentlemen in UK who is doing something around, AI using Ruby. No, that his name escapes my mind, but yeah,
Okay.
there is stuff happening.
Um, yeah, it's one of those things where like when you start, you don't even know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And so it's hard to even find the starting point. Like I bought several books on AI, and a lot of them I get a few pages in, and I'm like, there's just no hope of me understanding this because I don't have. There's obviously some like prerequisite fundamental knowledge that you have to
Mm.
have in order to be able to understand this. And so it's like, okay, I read this book on deep learning, and it talks about like matrix multiplication and stuff like that, and it's like,
Yes.
okay. I need to pause and go get some like fundamental mathematical
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think
but
we go
it's
on,
it's
Abhay.
really not so for stuff like this right now you really don't need to understand uh deep learning or machine learning uh a lot. Like you even if you have like a bare minimum understanding how a machine learning model works, that would be more than enough to get started to build
Hmm.
something like this. So
Okay.
where we are right now is basically here. So we got the data from YouTube API. And then uh, we put it into so we just skipped this phase, but we put it into vector database, and each transcript was then encoded into a vector, right? We just saw the vector.
Okay.
So next thing is we need to give it to an AI model. I need to figure out which AI model I'll have to use because there are so basically LLMs are each LLM is good for something, right? So
Hmm.
I'll have to figure that out. Then I can get started on that. So that will be my next step.
Okay.
Yeah. So currently so let me okay. So maybe this will help you understand. Okay, this is a basic Flask app, just like a Ruby backend. This is just like that. This is just Flask for Python. We are
Okay.
just handling, yeah. So we are just handling routes here. Uh, uh, we are handling get and post. Uh, so basically, the string that I typed in right here,
Hmm.
uh, the string that I typed in here will I don't know where it is. Yeah. So it will then take the query parameter of it and create embeddings from that query. And this is how you create embeddings.
Okay.
Uh, I'm sure, yeah. So sentence transformer basically. So I'll have to tell you what Hugging Face is before this. So have you
Uh-huh.
ever heard about Rapid API?
No.
So Rapid API is basically a API hub for all APIs. Okay.
Okay.
So you can find all the APIs like weather API, sports API, and all these things. It's basically an API hub.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you can build uh
I'm gonna
you
make a
can
note
build
of this.
mockups. Yeah, yeah. You can have mockups for e-commerce stores and everything. So yeah, so that's that. But Hugging Face is just it's just that for AI models. It's a AI model hub basically. So when you click on models, all of these are all models from various contributors. Like Microsoft has its own and all that. We can use it
Okay.
locally. Yeah. So it's basically that. Uh, so back to our code. I am so sentence transformer is basically something that Hugging Face provides
Okay.
for us to create a model instance in our own application.
Okay.
Okay, and then this. this thing here is a model. This thing is an actual model. We are specifying to this sentence transformer which model we are using, which model we want to use to embed to generate the embeddings for our incoming string, the input string.
Okay.
Okay, so we are using the model here, and we encode the query that comes in,
Okay.
right? And then we turn the so it basically returns a matrix that we are converting into a list,
Okay.
just an array. Uh, then then yeah. So we get the embeddings here, we get the list here, and then we give that list to this function called search videos.
Okay.
And then we specify how many videos that we want in return.
Okay.
All right. So the search video basically. So this is what makes the call to our database.
Okay.
So in Pinecone, a database is called index.
Okay.
Okay. So we query the index, and we want to give what vector we want to search, right? So this is the vector we want to search, embedding, because we just generated the list for the embedding, right? And then we give the top K value, which is basically how many results we want to get from the database.
Okay.
Uh,
Sorry,
yeah, this,
let me pause you here if I may.
yeah,
Um, is there anything that we could work on today that's like, oh, something where we could like accomplish a meaningful amount of work in like the remaining half hour or whatever? It sounds like maybe the chatbot functionality is too much to get to in that amount of time, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think there's something that we could work on that could fit in that amount of time?
Uh, so I was basically thinking that I would just demonstrate the project, and then if you had any inputs for me, and I would take those down, and we could think about those inputs and how
Oh
to
yeah.
architect them into the application and all that.
Yeah, so I'm sure that I would have some thoughts on like the application architecture and the code design and stuff like that. Excuse me. Um, but I don't think it's a good idea to just go in and like refactor stuff speculatively because because n- not all refactorings have an equal payoff, and we could refactor something, and but how do we know if we can expect that refactor to have a payoff if we're not needing to work on something? And so that's part of why I was interested in maybe identifying like a small change we could make, because if we go to make a change and we find that the design of the code in that area is it makes the change painful, then it's like, okay, it turns out
Right.
this area of code is hard to work with. That's a sign that we can refactor this area. And we know that our investment in refactoring is going to have a payoff. Um, is there maybe like an area of the code that like you're not quite happy with or something like that?
Uh, I actually was thinking about refactoring this repository because all of these all of these files, right? Fetch transcript, data cleaner, data upsert, and all these things basically are these things have to happen sequentially.
Okay.
Uh, so I would have better used a Jupyter notebook. Do you know what Jupyter notebooks are?
No, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is.
So you can execute code each line at a time, right? Each block of code at a time.
Okay.
So instead of having files, you have just blocks of code, just
Okay.
one big file and blocks of code.
You can
So
do it in a
uh,
browser as well, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can, I think we can do it in a browser as well. Yes. Uh, So I should have done that. I didn't think about it. So, but later I thought that yeah, I should have used the Jupyter Notebook because essentially what I'm doing here is creating a data pipeline. I'm gathering the
Mhm.
data, transforming it, and storing it into Pinecone. So I should have used something like Databricks or Jupyter Notebooks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any automated tests yet for this project?
No. So that is something we could see if we could add to this.
Yeah, maybe we could get started on that path.
Sure, yeah. So how do you say we go about it?
Yeah.
Because
So,
I'm not sure how to write tests for Python. I've never written tests for Python, so
okay.
uh,
I've done that
I'm
a little bit.
okay.
Um, the one I have experience with is PyTest.
Okay.
So maybe we could write some PyTest tests. We could maybe pick like whatever seems to be the simplest file, the easiest one to write some tests for, and we could try to get started with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So this here is the only file in the backend because I'm just handling it. I'm just handling one endpoint, right? So I'm just
Okay.
handling one endpoint. So it really is not much here. Uh,
Okay.
just getting the query, creating the embedding, asking the vector database to provide the data. That's all is going on here.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's maybe give this a try.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
So should I open this in my VS Code?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And Abhay, have you ever used the cursor editor by chance?
The last time we talked, you mentioned Cursor, so I
Uh-huh.
looked into a little bit. But no, I've not downloaded or used it. But it sure sounds interesting.
Yeah, I really like it. And
Okay. So
on a
it's AI
previous,
assisted, right? It's AI assisted.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so like on a previous video, I like I was writing a Python program, and I'm not really a Python guy, but like in Cursor, I was like writing tests with PyTest, and I had the idea for what kind of test I wanted to write generally, but I didn't know like the syntax and stuff like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
I could just start writing the test, and then Cursor would fill in the details for me. So that really helped speed me up a lot. Um,
Right.
but maybe something to think about for next time. Okay, so I think what we probably want to do is create like a test directory that's at a sibling level with SRC.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
yeah, but like one level up from there, so it's at a sibling level with
Oh,
SRC.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
So just in the root, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. And then on the terminal for starters, we can just type pytest test and see what happens.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not going to work, but it'll be interesting to see in what way it fails. Okay, so it looks like we don't have PyTest installed. Do you have like I forget in Python what the package manager is or
It's
whatever.
pip. Yeah, it's pip.
There's like, I thought there was something additional, like a
Homebrew?
file. Oh yeah, there's like the requirements.txt or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Do you have, oh yeah, you have that. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should add PyTest to this.
Yeah. We have to first install it for it to be here, actually. Or maybe we could provide it here.
Yeah, however it works.
Yeah, let me just install it the
Mhm.
regular way. Because uh I've never done. I've never put things directly here because it might mess up the version numbers. Because this is the code that has been deployed, right? So,
Okay.
not sure if that's a good idea.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll just implement it here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll need to activate the uh virtual environment.
Okay.
Uh, how would I? What did I do last time?
You know about Control R search, right?
No.
Oh yeah. Okay. So do Control C to get rid of that. And then do Control R, and then you can just type part of whatever command you're looking for.
Okay. I'm not sure if that works in on Mac. Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, no, just
uh,
start typing whatever you're looking for.
uh,
It may
I
be
think it was.
command and the letter, not
Yeah,
control.
yeah. This is it. Like, yeah, this is the one.
Oh, that's the command you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we are inside the virtual environment here, where all these packages are installed.
Okay.
So, so we can install PyTest.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I think we're done.
Okay. Now if we run PyTest test again, does it no longer complain about PyTest not found?
Uh, okay. It does. Maybe because I installed it in a virtual environment, we can test it out here.
Okay. Okay. Um,
No tests ran. Okay.
yeah, and is it saying that it can't find, what is it saying that it can't find? Can't find the directory?
Yeah, yeah. Because I have used the capital casing, right? So,
Yeah, why don't we
uh,
change it to lowercase?
oh, you want to change it to the lowercase? Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to have it capital.
Yep. So we can try it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no errors now. Also no
Mm-hmm.
tests.
Mm-hmm.
So we can add a test. Why don't we add just like a hello world test? We can just like assert that one equals one or something like that.
Okay. So how do I do that? Because I just write a Python file here.
Um, Let me see. Ultimately, what was it that we wanted to test? It was like app.py. So maybe we
Yes.
could do like apptest.py. Okay. And this is where cursor would be helpful. We could just say like, give me a hello world test, but we could do it the old fashioned way and ask ChatGPT or whatever.
Yeah. Let's do that. I could basically actually just okay, you want me to just okay.
And by the way, for whatever it's worth, I've been favoring Claude lately for coding.
Yeah,
I found
yeah.
it's a little better.
Claude's a little better, but however, if you want to use ChatGPT, do you have paid version of Claude or do you use the free tier?
No, just the free version.
Right. So ChatGPT has this called O1 Mini,
Uh-huh.
uh, which is fine-tuned on coding, basically.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So this is like this helps a lot. Like
Okay.
and this does not even give you errors, so it's that good. So
Hmm. Okay.
yeah, so that's that. But yeah, we can start with writing tests here.
Okay.
Okay, give me a
Okay. Yeah, why don't we give that a try?
sure. So okay. So I have to import this one. I have to import the function and the uh
Yeah, this is annoying because it's like a hello world is supposed to be the simplest possible example, but this isn't
yeah,
as simple as it could be. Why are we
yeah.
importing this say hello thing? We can just assert that one equals
Mm,
one.
yeah, just roll this and assert. So we can run this again.
Okay, so we have our first passing test. We have a test suite now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so why don't we actually commit that and then we can just have that
sure.
there.
So oh okay. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. And now maybe let's try to do something real. So you want to go to that app.py and we can maybe find a
sure.
target to write a test for.
Yep.
Okay. So we can look for
Where can we
opportunities that
start?
would be easy. Um, okay. So a lot of the stuff has dependencies, which
Yeah,
make it tough, but that doesn't mean that it will be impossible. Can we go all the way to the top? Okay. Hmm. This might be hard.
yeah. Because we are generating large matrices, right? We're generating really large lists, and yeah, we could test endpoints with Postman, but
Oh, let's see. All right, so the home is just static.
yeah,
Maybe we can write a test for that first.
yeah, sure,
It's maybe not that meaningful, but it at least gets us some practice.
yeah.
Yeah,
So how do we test this?
no idea.
So we'll just paste this into ChatGPT.
Exactly.
What is this? I don't know what this is.
Okay, let's see. Let's just take it line by line.
Yeah,
From app, import app. You understand that, right?
yeah.
Okay. And then it says, okay, so do you know what this pytest.fixture part does?
No, not actually. I've not ex have no experience with PyTest.
Yeah. Okay. So there's this method, there's this function test home. So every test in PyTest is prefixed with test underscore. So that's how I know that that's a test. And you can see that the test home function has one argument, which is client.
Hmm.
That's a convention in PyTest. When you have an argument for a test like this, it'll grab that from the fixtures. So that client argument works because we have a PyTest.fixture that has a name of client.
Right.
Yeah, so when
Okay.
that test gets executed, it'll invoke that client function. So what's inside client with app.testClient as client yield client. Okay. I don't understand what that does, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we just copy paste this into our test and run it and see what happens?
Sure.
Yeah, we can probably kill that hello world test since it doesn't give us any value, really. It's just for practice.
Yeah. Okay. So,
And do you think if we go into the virtual environment in the VS Code terminal, if the test running would work there? Because it feels like it'd be more convenient to not have to switch to this terminal window.
oh, you want me to work with the terminal in the VS Code, right?
Yeah, let's see if we can get that working.
Okay. So let me just, yeah, we can just copy the, uh, yeah,
Okay. Okay. We get some errors, unsurprisingly. No module named app.
no module named app. So, also this is not getting imported.
Yeah, I'm guessing
So,
it's a path issue.
yeah. So what path we need to have? Uh, so these things need to be in the same directory for this to work.
I think we can leave it in the same place. We just need to tell the import that we want to go up a directory and then inside of SRC.
Okay. So this would be something like this. And
Well, remember that we need to go in. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's the right syntax or not, but that's the idea.
we can just copy this and ask ChatGPT if this
Yeah.
is the right system.
I would think it would be in the other order,
Uh-huh.
but we can ask ChatGPT.
This is how it looks like, but
This seems weird. This
yeah,
seems like dumb to have to do this.
yeah. We don't have to do that.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna look at a project of mine and see how I'm doing it in mine.
Sure.
I'm remembering now. It's like annoyingly complicated in Python.
Is
Um,
it? Okay.
yeah, so at least here's the way I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I created a package for my project, and then I had like an init.py that had like a mapping to all my I don't know what you call them, modules or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know how to create
So
a package?
I have done it before. I Don't really. I'll have to look into that again, into how it's done because it's been a while since I did that.
Hmm.
But actually, this is a good homework. I could just write a few tests so that uh we could then again see talk about it again.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to leave it here and that can be your homework and we can come
Yeah,
back to
sure.
that next time? Okay.
Sure. Because this will take a while, and I think it's much better if I figure this and do it easy way, the way you said, instead of doing this sys.path thing.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I we can talk about this next time. Writing actually because currently I do not have any CI/CD pipeline or any test cases for any modules, right?
Hmm.
So it would be better if we do that next time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
That sounds
can come
good.
up with some tests. Yeah.
All right. So now we can switch and I'll share my screen
Yeah,
and
I'll stop sharing
we
screen.
can
Yeah.
take a look at Saturn CI. Okay. So I'm going to go to my local version here. If you've seen Saturn CI before, you might recognize that it looks a little bit different now. Also, this test has something wrong with it. It's been running for almost an hour. Um, I'm going to cancel this, which is a new feature also, and I'll rerun it. Okay. So I'll explain what changed and why. First of all, if anybody's not familiar, Saturn CI is a CI platform. It only works for Rails and it only works for RSpec. Um, and let me go back in time a little bit if I can and show you the UI as of a few days ago.
So it's a project you've been working on, Jason?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
been
okay.
working on it for a pretty long time, but I've only been working on it seriously for the last couple weeks.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, because I've been working on my book for like the last year or so, but the book is
Right.
finally done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by the way, this is the book, Professional Rails Testing, five-star ratings. Yeah, this came out on October 22nd. But now that that's done, I asked myself, what do I want to do now? And I decided that I want to take a swing at making Saturn CI into a real business. Okay, so I'm going to go back in time a little bit to, let's say, October 27th. That sounds good. See if this even works. Okay, so you can see that it's a little bit different. And I can switch back and forth between the old version and the new version to make the changes obvious. So this new version, you can see that it has this like gray bar at the top. That's one difference. And another difference is that I think it's much more clear, like when you select um, when you select a build on the left, I wanted it to be much more clear what's selected. And actually, I think now that it's this dark, now that it's this bright blue color, um, it makes the UI like a little bit more fun, which is interesting. Like it's not as fun to click around on this when it only changes a little bit, but when it changes a lot like that, it's more fun. I think because it makes me as the user feel more powerful. It makes me feel like I'm in command of the computer, which is obviously the way it should be. Okay, so there's that difference. And there's some small like color changes and stuff like that. But the main thing is this bar at the top here, and I'll explain why I added that and why that's significant. Um, so I ran a project for an actual customer. So I'm working on onboarding my first real customer now. Um, And if I go to my users and I impersonate my user, So I've made 5 attempts and they all failed. The most recent failure is because there's this environment variable that can't be found. And so I realized, oh yeah, I need a way for users to be able to plug in their environment variables, but I didn't have any way. And so I thought there needs to be like a settings area where you can change your product settings. But I looked at this UI and I'm like, where would it make sense to do your project settings? Um, and a big problem with a lot of sites is they don't do a good job with what you might call their information architecture. It's I think it's important to be always have a solid orientation of where you are in the system. And so I wanted to have that. Um, and so I wanted to have like a hierarchy. And with this, like I could make a settings page like up over here or something like that. But that's one thing that I really don't like about Circle CI is their information architecture is a mess and it's so easy to get disoriented. So I added this gray bar here so that you can see that you're in the context of this project. And there's a settings link, which is in a distinct menu from this stuff. This is like the global menu that doesn't have anything to do with any specific project. But this menu here, it's in the same container as this project. And so my intention is to make it clear that these are the settings for the project. And so I'm in the production environment, which doesn't have that feature yet. If I go back to the main branch, okay, so I can go to the settings here, and this UI is totally nasty. It's a work in progress. But now I have this UI where we can save environment variables. And what I want to do next is this. Um, I want to have like a layout, a project layout, where it always has this like project shell with this, whoops, with this top bar here. So that like when you're in the secrets area, for example, you still see this SaturnCI shell. And let me go to a different project actually. Yeah, it's maybe confusing because my project has the same name as the platform. So here's this Panda project. If I were to go to the settings for Panda and go to the secrets, I would want this Jason Sweat slash Panda heading and all that stuff. I would want the same shell to be there for this. So that's what I'm working on right now is these environment variables. My like approach from a business standpoint is to hang on, let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go. My approach from a business standpoint is to find my first customers as early as possible. That's why I'm onboarding my first customer now, even though the platform barely does anything. And I'm seeing, okay, what are the obstacles to getting it to work for this first customer? And I can see, this environment variable thing that lets me know there's a missing feature. And so now I'm adding that. Once I add that, I expect that this build is going to fail in some other way. And so I'll address that. As soon as I get this build working, I'm going to let my first customer use this and I'll talk with them and watch them use it and stuff like that. Um, and see if there are any like glaring deficiencies. And as long as there's nothing that like really urgently needs to be fixed, I'm going to try to find the second customer, go through the same process. I want to do that so that my feature work is always driven by concrete customer needs and it's never speculative.
Right.
Hmm.
So you've built the entire platform from scratch?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I was just curious, so what is this terminal kind of thing that so you're using so what are you using here?
Yeah, good question. So each time you kick off a build, and I'll rerun this one so we can see one going. Each time you kick off a build, It hits the DigitalOcean API
Oh,
and
okay.
spins up a virtual machine.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
so in about 1 minute, the virtual machine will be ready and we'll start to see the system logs for the virtual machine.
Okay, so it uses DigitalOcean's virtual infrastructure for compute.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
And then there's
that's
just
nice.
yeah, and there's a shell script that runs that
Mm-hmm.
that runs the test suite. Um, so in broad strokes, there's just like a command that invokes the test suite. But there's certain challenges like, we have to have the database in place, we have to have Ruby installed, PostgreSQL installed, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it uses Docker with Docker Compose to be able to create the user's projects test environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and here we can see that the system logs for the virtual machine are coming through now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think what it's doing now is it's pulling down the Docker images for the user's project.
Mm-hmm. So what was the most difficult part of building this?
That's a good question. Um, it's all been kind of equally difficult, maybe. Honestly, one of the hard parts was this UI. Um,
Oh, okay. So what? So you're using are you using a front-end framework or what is this?
yeah, I'm using Hotwire to do all the asynchronous requests and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so like when you go from build to build, it doesn't do a full page reload. It just reloads this right-hand pane here.
Right. Is it specific to Ruby or something?
It can be used outside of Ruby on Rails, but that's where
Mm-hmm.
it originated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and one other really hard part since you asked was the build process can be quite time consuming because it has to install a lot of libraries for each project. But the
Mm,
libraries are going to be the same almost every time. Um, and so I wanted to cache the libraries. And
okay.
that was hard because it's like, how do you cache users' libraries when you're getting a fresh virtual machine every single time? You can't cache it on the virtual machine because the virtual machine goes away after every build.
Yeah.
So I had to make a cache server. I think it's called a Docker pull through cache registry, something like that.
Okay, so all the user caches are stored on the thing, and then you take the libraries from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Like um, with the Docker build, it has layer caching, and
Okay.
so it'll cache whatever layers it can. Um, and I store the user's Docker images on the cache server. So then I can
Mm-hmm.
pull the image from the cache server, and if everything's still the same, all the layers will still be cached. But if the user like added a new library, for example, it'll see, oh, the checksum is different, so that means we have to build this layer again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and I
That's
missed it,
interesting.
but this test output will do the same thing. It'll just output as it goes.
Right.
Yeah. So all that was pretty tricky, but now that that's all in place, nothing's been too difficult. It's just incremental work from here.
That's great. That's great. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a really interesting project.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when do you plan on like making this full-fledged? So out in production and for deployment.
Well, it is in production.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the development
Local one.
environment, but
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
this is the production environment app.SaturnCI.com.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a user's real production project on the
Oh,
production
okay.
Saturn CI system. It's just doesn't work yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I have gotten other, okay, let me do this. I'll sign out and then sign back in as myself. Kind of the neat thing about Saturn CI is I can run Saturn CI on Saturn CI. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, this is the production Saturn CI environment, and this
Mm-hmm.
is this is Saturn CI running in the production environment. And so like I'm really actually using Saturn CI as Saturn CI's CI system.
Right.
Hmm.
That's interesting. That's nice. I'm sure this would have taken a very long time to build.
Yeah, although honestly AI made it a lot faster.
Oh, right. So when
Yeah.
did you start building this? Around this year?
Let's see. June 2nd, 2023.
Mm. Oh, okay. It's been like 3, 4 months.
Well,
2023. Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's been a year now.
Yeah, but I worked on it very lazily for the first like
Mm-hmm.
year and a half.
Yeah. Right,
I
right.
only worked on it during these sessions. I didn't work on it almost at all outside of
Oh,
that.
okay.
So it was like I would work on it like 2 hours a week at most.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I'm working on it more. I try to work on it about an hour a day.
That's great. That's great. That's nice.
Yeah, so we've seen the pictures like Taylor Otwell with his Lamborghini and DHH with his I don't know what it is, his Aston Martin or whatever it was. No, not Aston Martin. Oh, what did he post? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's
No,
a Porsche 928 or something, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I post my picture of my I don't know what it'll be. My Porsche 911. That'll be a good starter vehicle. You'll know what the money's from. Yeah. All right. Well, Abe, good luck on your tests in the meantime, and I
thank
look
you.
forward to the
We,
next one.
yeah,
And thanks everybody for coming.
Okay, see
thank
ya.
you. See
All
you.
right, bye guys.
Bye.
Thank